Hello, everybody, and welcome to Reviews from Hell on Infamous Horror. Today, I am joined by my co-host Steve, and today we are going to be taking a look at Gaspar. Is it Noe or Noir? How do you pronounce his last name, Steve?
I say no. I've heard Gaspar Noe. I've heard, but I say no. I just say no.
And we're also going to be looking at Blumhouse's new production, Dashcam.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to start tonight off with Lux AEterna. I'm assuming that's how you would pronounce it, like the first E is silent.
Yeah, Lux AEterna. Yep, absolutely. Lux AEterna. For sure.
And, I found this kind of interesting. It didn't feel like a normal Gaspar Noe movie, also. It felt very tame in his realm of filmmaking than what I'm used to him doing.
Well, I think that in one way I would agree with you in terms of tame or not. Everybody knows a lot of Gaspar Noe's filmmaking. Aside from him, in my opinion, being one of the top guys on Earth living that can work a camera like nobody else. Some of the stuff he does with a camera.
And even though I don't like a lot of his stuff, I will agree with you on that. He has a knack for
irreversible. Yeah. He's a really talented filmmaker, and he's also a filmmaker that really has always loved to shock. And that's part of him, whether people like it or not. And just as a backdrop on this one, I don't know that much, but he has two new films right now. One is Vortex, which absolutely is not a typical Gaspar Noe film, and it co-stars the Italian giallo mastermind, who's not an actor, Dario Argento, but he's supposed to be incredible in it. Now,
that's what I've been reading. Yeah,
that's Vortex. This film is more in line, although quite different. On its own merit, but Lux AEterna is much more a traditional Gaspar Noe film when you put it up to his other new film, Vortex, which is an entirely new direction for him. And I don't know if you knew this or not, but what led to, I think, Vortex specifically, and probably both films, was that he had a major drug overdose.
I remember reading about that, and that's one of the reasons why he wanted to do Vortex.
Yes, and I don't know if he is clean or sober now, or if he even sees himself as a drug addict. I think that he is clean for the first time, for lack of a better word, in a long time. I just think that these creative projects, it's just interesting because he is definitely an artist, whether or not people like his work or not. He's an artist, and so it's kind of hard not to look past the work, not past the work, but look at the real life in conjunction and just notice some things. But if we're talking about Lux AEterna, the movie, for a minute, if you want to it also opens up a pretty sustained debate about whether or not it's what a full feature-length film is. It is 51 minutes long. And,
that's with credits as well. 51.
Yeah. And the credits aren't very long. The credits are probably a minute or two, but it is, I think a lot of more filmmakers, who aren't as established as Gaspar is, maybe this would not be called a feature-length film. But it's
more like an experimental short film.
Yeah, and with Gaspar Noe, you're always getting experimentation. That is also another big part. He loves to shock.
Even though I don't like a lot of his films, that's what I can appreciate about Enter the Void, because at least it wasn't like anything I've ever seen, because there was like somebody living through purgatory, which is really cool.
Absolutely. I saw that movie, a couple weeks after my significant other died. If you remember that time period, the first time I sat through Enter the Void, not even knowing what it was going to be about,
that's a bad choice.
Was about a month after my
and then we reviewed the Color from Outer Space too.
We did
around that same time.
Around that same time, and those movies did not make me feel good. They did not. But anyway, I want to stick it to Lux AEterna. So Lux AEterna has two. I'm also a big fan of French, the French New Extremity, the French New Wave of horror.
Yeah, I am too. Yeah,
Alejandra Aja with High Tension. You've got.
That's one of my favorites.
Me too. Yeah. High Tension was such a singular experience for me. It kind of changed it was one of those movies that kicked open, your mind of what movies could do with a shotgun blast. I mean, I was 18 and I actually got to see that living in West Virginia. It's hit or miss with what we get on the independent circuit. I got to see that on a big screen when I was 18 at a Marquee Cinemas, which is nuts when you think about it. And I always remember I was 18. My girlfriend at the time was with me. The only other two people in the cinema for High Tension were the sweetest looking old couple who had to have been in their 80s. They had a blast. You could tell they were having a blast. So I guess they were maybe lifelong horror movie fans, but it was so sweet.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, but okay, so Lux AEterna stars two luminaries of cinema. Charlotte Gainsbourg is one of my all-time favorite actors.
Oh, yeah.
She's absolutely incredible, I think. And Beatrix Dawley is the co-star of this, who
they both crush it, in my opinion.
And they both are luminaries of cinema, of French New Wave, of horror cinema. Beatrix Dawley has done a lot of things like Trouble Every Day back in 2001 with Claire Denis and Vincent Gallo. And she also did most Western audiences, I feel like, would know Beatrix Dawley. Beatrix Dawley from Inside, the French New Wave classic. Have you seen Inside, where the woman is pregnant on...
I don't think I have.
You know what I'm saying? Have you heard of Inside?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
It's one of the best French New Wave. It's so scary, okay? And basically she plays what, in my opinion, is one of the best cinematic villains in horror movie history, called La Femme, just the woman. And she shows up dressed in all dark at this woman's house who's pregnant, and she wants her baby, and she wants to cut it out of her because the baby's not born yet. And so she is just incredible in that. It left a mark on me. So seeing her and Charlotte Gainsbourg, who I could go on and on about Gainsbourg. So half the film is a lot of, if you've seen a lot of Gaspar Noe stuff, there's a lot of split screen, like De Palma or something kind of camera. Yeah, you get a lot of cool.
And that's what I liked about it too. Even though it was a foreign film, it was kind of a headache to pay attention to both screens.
Oh yeah,
subtitles at points.
Reading. And you're getting and you're getting different. It's not like you're getting like the same conversations and moments from different perspectives too. Right. A lot. And so it is like a lot to keep up with, all these moving parts, which are very, very cool. And it is these two women on a film shoot, and they're preparing to shoot a scene where they are burned at the stake as witches.
Which is really cool, right? Because I love movies about how movies are made, and that's what really sat well with me with Lux AEterna, which was really cool to see.
Absolutely. And it is a movie about, like you said, about making movies. In part, you are on a film set the entire run of it. You see a lot of the chaos and the coldness that can be involved, and you see
a lot the extras as well.
Yes, you see a lot of, and how unsafe a nude scene can quickly become. And there's all these people. There's the photographer out back when the girl from Neon Demon is trying to change clothes. They talk about how some directors,
and then you see the guy with the camera behind the blind.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah. And she's just like, "What the fuck?" And so you see it, just this film set slowly, and in this way, the way that the film progresses in the beats and the beats of it, and the way that it kind of
like what you said, it's almost like in a rhythm of how they do this.
It's very much like climax. I think that in that regard, I think that it could very much be a companion film to Climax, which they both do the same kind of thing, which is take a creative endeavor like a film shoot or a dance troupe rehearsal, and have it kind of just represent a slow descent into hell, and about just things spiral out of control. And the thing with this film is that in Climax, you in some of the bloodiest, goriest detail what happens to that poor dance troupe. One of the biggest differences with the setup in Lux AEterna is you have no idea what happens to Charlotte Gainsbourg or Beatrice Dawley or any of the other women involved. and but you get that really. It's very stylized, as Gaspar really always is.
But I think he really outdone himself in that final sequence in this.
I thought that was very, very cool, and I want a poster of Charlotte up there on the stage.
Oh, I know you do.
It's sexy. Oh, for sure. It's sexy. It is scary. And it's one of those things to where you just feel unsettled, kind of like a David Lynch thing where it's unsettling and you don't even really know why. You can't really point your
and at the same time, I was like, wait a minute, is there something really supernatural going on at this moment?
It's all subconscious. So it could be supernatural. It could just it could represent this. And I think that's part of the fun of film like this. Is the discussions that the answers or the questions are just as important, oftentimes more important than any answer that you might have.
And you know what? I read that online sometime. If you come away with more questions than answers, then it's been a great film.
That's what I totally agree. I mean, people, we all want what we want out of a cinematic experience. And hey, I really enjoy and have fun with things like Jurassic World Dominion, or just as a really recent example of popcorn cinema. But at the same time,
did you see that one yet?
I did. I saw it this weekend.
I'm going to see it next weekend.
We had a really good time. But something like this is more feeds my cinematic soul. This is more why I want to make movies. This is it's a different kind of thing.
Like this is why we review them, kind of.
I just want to turn them on to an American audience. It's just so fortunate that you can watch a new film like Lux AEterna in West Virginia if you are fortunate enough to have a Wi-Fi and an Amazon Prime account right now. And that just wasn't always the case, not to be a back in the my day kind of guy, but it wasn't easy to always catch these Gaspar Noe films, as it was with a lot of films that I marvel at how easy they're to be seen now. Because when I was younger, and I'm about 10 years older than you or so.
Yeah, that's about
because it all happened.
I think maybe 6 or 5.
It all happened very fast, to where all of a sudden streaming, and you know what I mean? It was just very much easier. The floodgates kind of kicked open.
And you know what? George Lucas and Steven Spielberg kind of saw this coming with Red
They really did, and they were called.
Do you remember that? They said that barely made it into theaters.
I know. And they, which one? Flyboys or what was it?
Red Tails.
Oh, that's the one. That's what I'm thinking of. Red Tails, which I never saw. But did George Lucas direct that, by the way? Or did he hire some? Probably hired some.
Probably, but it probably had both of their names attached on it to where it could have been a big box office hit.
It's crazy, and then it flopped, right? Yeah, that movie probably gave those guys carte blanche to do whatever they wanted to do, and then lost the studio like $100 million. If you like Gaspar Noe, if you like the French New Wave of horror, if you just are looking for something different that also is a short-ass movie, then Lux AEterna fits all of those, checks all those boxes. And so I just don't see how you like that, didn't you? You like that?
Yeah, you tried to go Pete Davidson here for a second.
That was,
knowing you probably went Dirt Nasty for a second.
Oh, you know what, though? I'll take it. That's fine. That sketch is hilarious, number one, with all the Ernest send-ups of all the posters with Simon Rex in each Ernest poster rapping. Brilliant. And also, I haven't seen Red Rocket yet, and I need to. I need to see Red Rocket. That's one of the ones that's still on the to-watch list from last year that I haven't. You know what I mean? It's in the queue. It's in the queue.
It would be a good double feature with Pleasure. If you watch those, watch it back to back.
Yeah, how horny is Pleasure? Is it as horny as it looks in the trailer?
No, it's not as horny as the festival run has proclaimed it to be.
Just like that. I have a feeling people are going to be very disappointed in the Andrew Dominic Marilyn Monroe film because it's NC-17. They just want to see her naked.
Yeah,
Not saying that they're not going to, but I think that it's NC-17 for a lot of different reasons.
Probably for drugs and whatever.
Drugs and language. And another thing, too, is you got to understand, I think Netflix reaching out to give it an NC-17 or making sure people knew that. I think that
I think that's more of a hype train too, giving that
strategic.
An NC-17.
Yeah, strategic.
That's what I feel about it.
How's that bad? And Andrew Dominic said, "I don't give a fuck." He said, "I'm not, I'm making movies here. I'm not trying to make people necessarily happy all the time." That's not a quote. That's his attitude.
Yeah.
But I am all for that. I'm all for more challenging films. Like I said, I love Gaspar, and I haven't seen everything that he's done. I haven't seen Love. I know that.
I think I've only seen Enter the Void and Climax, and now Lux AEterna.
You haven't seen Irreversible?
No.
That's the one for me. That's the best Gaspar film. But they're all really good. And in my opinion, his entire filmography should kind of be seen and studied a little bit if you're a film person.
Yeah.
But also where it has a lot of extreme depictions of rape and violence that you need to know that going into a lot of his stuff. You don't have that.
If you're easily offended, then you may not want to study his stuff.
And which is just fine. You know what I mean? It's just everybody has their own limit of what they can tolerate and what they can't. I wouldn't feel right. I don't want to be an asshole that doesn't mention that, because where I do think he's brilliant, he's also problematic. He's also controversial, and and that's by design. It's not like it's a surprise to him that people say that his stuff is shocking and fanciful and whatnot.
So overall grade of Lux AEterna, what would you give it?
I would give Lux AEterna can we do halves?
Oh, yeah.
I would do a 3.5 out of 5.
I'd agree with you on that because you know what? It was very short, but it was still very solid too.
Yeah, it was a very solid picture and made me want, I'm a sucker for anything like that where people are talking about movies that made movies. So, of course, it made me want to immediately go up to him and start asking him questions, which he wasn't having. But I would give that. I would definitely. I think it's a solid film. I think it's, like I said, wonderful experimentation. It's unsettling. It has a lot of the hallmarks of Gaspar Noe stuff, but just a
lot of his tropes are in there for sure.
But it's not going to go. It doesn't.
It's not cliche or almost parody like. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going down. It's also just not going down that road that we saw already. Some people were lucky enough. Some people still haven't, I guess. But something like The Sadness, gets,
I still need to watch that.
That's fantastic. I think it's really good. I think that the hype train on that one was out of control, which, it
happens. Yeah.
I'm talking about too specifically in relation to how brutal it is as a film. And I'm not saying it's not brutal. It may be something about me being desensitized, but I've seen other people say this too, because it just went on and on forever. I felt like with just how fucked up The Sadness is and how, what I mean? And how it's going to ruin your whole life basically. And I thought it was good. I think it's dangerous, but it's
not as dangerous as any other movies are.
Sure, and so I just wish they would sell it a little bit differently because it's not even something like Cannibal Holocaust. It's all very stylized. There's some stuff in it that's gross, but you're very much watching fiction. But anyway, that's my soapbox on that. But 3.5 out of 5, I think, for Lux AEterna, and it's very interesting to see Gaspar Noe continue to evolve and change and actually make 2 films that are arguably and because what I've heard about Vortex, it's even more true over there, that are much more restrained than his previous stuff.
Like he's maturing a little bit.
It's weird.
Yeah. All right, and now the next film we're reviewing is Blumhouse's Dashcam. Steve, I'll let you kick this one off.
Dashcam. Yeah, for a minute.
Dashcam.
Because I watched a few Blumhouse things, and I got to tell you, if it says Blumhouse Television, not just Blumhouse Films, because I love a lot of fantastic Blumhouse films out there, but Blumhouse Television seems to be very hit and miss, as I learned renting things like Torn Hearts with Katie Siegel that I did finish. I did somehow finish that.
She was the only watchable thing in that. I can't believe
she's
it has
great. She's always great.
I can't believe that has like an 80 something on Rotten Tomatoes.
I couldn't either. What the fuck about Unhuman? I couldn't even finish that one. When it turns out that they weren't really zombies, and he's like, "Yeah, I've got this big jug of fucking juice that looks like the Reanimator thing," and I checked out of that one. I couldn't finish it.
It was like they were trying to say too much too about bullies and their victims too, right?
It was killing me. And I didn't even catch that because that's a good message, I think. But the movie sucks so bad I didn't catch the message. I'm serious.
Before the message.
I didn't finish it. I didn't finish it. It's just, like I said, that's as far as I made it because I thought that was bizarrely bad. Both of those were very bad. But anyway,
and it was surprising that Unhuman is Marcus Dunstan too.
Oh, what else has he done?
He'd done a few of the Saw movies, and I think he did the Collector movies as well.
Oh, see, I really like those Collector movies. I liked both of those, and it's really a bummer what happened to those guys. My heart goes out to them. I hope they
they got caught up in like some fraud stuff, right? With like the investor screwing them over.
Yeah, it sounds like they just got raw dogged. You know, it sounds like they just got fucked. You know. Yeah, it was very criminal sounding. It sucks. But hopefully they I'm sure they can bounce back from this and will. I just hope that they do it soon. You know.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Dashcam.
Yes, Dashcam.
You enjoyed this one?
I want to read more because it's Rob Savage is his name, and he directed the breakout hit, at least in the horror community, Host from 2020.
Which was fantastic. It was phenomenal.
And this is kind of like the companion film to that. This feels
I didn't think so.
Okay, well, I know you don't like it, but I still think it's absolutely a companion film to Host in so much as they both are about how different groups of people are reacting to the post-COVID world that we live in. And that's what I mean by that. I think they're both...
Which is correct. Yeah, that's correct.
Sure. And that's what I mean by companion films is they're both the same filmmaker talking about the same issues. And whereas in Host, he's talking about how a bunch of, teens and friends would react to the immediate sense of just being on lockdown and trying to get together and do things like a seance to, pass this scary time. This one, fast forward 2 years later, and this movie is absolutely the main character is.
I wanted her to die so fast and hard in this.
She's like a 4chan troll.
Yes, she is in real life. Yes,
Fox News viewing, and she has all these symptoms of someone that is just.
Do you remember when YouTube was first a thing and it was all 4chan videos at the time?
Google bought it. When Google bought it, it totally changed. It's just, which is for the better. I'm not endorsing 8chan trolls or anything like that.
No, me either. No,
I am an American citizen. I'm completely anti the J6 riots. I have no respect for anything like QAnon. I am anti all of that stuff. Okay, and so
except when we watch the South Park specials, that we can get into
those. Are hilarious. No, those are hilarious. Sacred cows should always be made fun of. Sacred cows on the left and on the right should always be made fun of. Okay,
when they're starting these movies on Paramount Plus, I'm surprised they have not gone and done a full Man Bear Pig one yet.
Oh, that'd be great. Oh,
they need to do an origin story of Man Bear Pig.
Oh, origin story. Like, just make it like X-Men Origins Wolverine. Make it, you know what I mean? South Park Origins Man Bear Pig. That's great. No, but okay. So this main character in this film is a girl who is Annie. She is a rapper, and she is a social media influencer. And she basically is having a hard time.
And she almost plays it like a social media tycoon.
Well, apparently she is playing an exaggerated version of herself. She said that. So I don't know anything about her in general. So I guess she is a social media person, who got cast in this film. But she says it's in. So anyway, the character is based off of her to an extent, which makes you gotta wonder. who are we giving money to? You know what I mean? So I would like to give Rob Savage a chance to defend himself because in that regard, because here's the thing. My girlfriend and I rented the movie. It was like
what did you think of it? Because I could only imagine. Did Gentry like it at all?
Yeah, we loved it. We thought it was great. We had a blast with it.
Did I see a different cut than you?
No, I jumped more than, if anything, you get better cuts than me. You get screeners and press invites. But no, there was a couple different times where we jumped. We had some legitimate jump scares. I'm a found footage fan. We both are very much unabashed.
And see, with me, those are always hit or miss with me with found footage. So maybe that could be it. Maybe that could be it.
Maybe that is it. Because it was very cool. It's got some cool monsters in it,
Oh, yeah. That was very cool at the end, too. Yeah.
There is, but there is some, this one falls back on some of those problems that did you notice the guy? Oh, anyway, wrong movie. I watched the, and Torn Hearts did have, speaking of found footage, did you notice who Torn Hearts had in it? Josh Leonard from the Blair Witch Project was the sleazy manager.
Oh, no kidding. Okay, yeah.
Crazy, right? Picked up on that. It's Gentry, my girlfriend. She picked up on that right away. She loves found footage, and I like it a lot too. And I don't know if I guess with anything like found footage, results are going to vary anyway, depending on how much you enjoy found footage
and how much you believe the characters as well.
That's what I was getting ready to say. Yeah. There were some times in this one where it stretched out to that one thing you don't want, where you go, why the hell is she still filming? You know what I mean? There was some of that in this where I was like, why are they still filming? And after a little bit, it did kind of have the same where it would just feel repetitive, where it's like, okay, we're going to set up a scare. She's going to go do a scare. Everybody's going to almost.
It was just that same cycle throughout the whole film.
But I thought the makeup was awesome. I didn't think this movie had to reinvent the wheel. I'm very curious to hear Rob Savage talk about why, not as just like a defense, but just as why he chose, is it what I'm thinking, to show different groups of people in the pandemic? You know what I mean? Is this supposed to be the flip side, black sheep coin to Host?
I think so. I think that's what his idea might have been, yeah.
Host is about friendship. Host is very much about friendship.
And this is very much about dividing friendship.
He's alone. And the only friend she has, she completely alienates from, steals his car. It just is really.
And she is a total dick to him the whole time.
Crazy, right? And so I get that she's unlikable, right? But does having a unlikable central protagonist inherently make a film less worthy of something to be watched?
No, I don't think so. No.
Right, and I don't either. I think it has to work. I think we have to understand.
Absolutely. Like,
we don't have to
back in your mind, there still has to be something you kind of root for that person. Yeah.
And I think that it brings up some interesting debates. I think that some people aren't going to get there with it, and I do hear about like a 50-50 split on this movie of people that are talking.
I've been reading that too. Yeah.
People that are talking about it, and some people that are just like, hey, this is irresponsible. And it's not that I necessarily agree. I just think that it's interesting to hear where everybody's coming from. You know what I mean? And when you make a movie that has a character that is kind of this distasteful on purpose, then these are fair questions to ask, And
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not saying
I don't know if I found any of the characters likable except for her friend, the guy.
Right, the guy that she keeps fucking over. Yeah, exactly. And so I thought that, some people said, well, she was good to her, her grandmother or something like that. We don't know that though either. You know what I mean? We don't know the relationship that she really has with this woman. It could be very abusive coming from some. We've all heard cases. We all know of such things where people take advantage of family members or significant others that need help, that they know they can get, whatever off of each month if they just fill in the form correctly, So yeah, that is that. Those are some of my initial thoughts on. But I did think it was scary. I think that it's as effective as most found footage films.
As far as found footage goes, it did have some cool visual effects in there as well.
Yeah,
with the grandmother in the back of the car.
Oh yes, that was awesome.
That was very cool. Yeah,
that was so scary. And like, I saw some people that just thought that even just, the fact that she shits in the car, like a lot of, sorry, slight spoiler, but a lot of people are even turned off by that, and I thought, whatever, she's an old invalid.
But you'll be watching Blazing Saddles in a second.
Yeah. I mean, but no, I liked the movie, but when I was watching it, I was like, a lot of people are going to fucking hate this movie. And for
that's what I was thinking too. Especially because the main actress.
Yeah, for all the
not because how she, like, I'm not saying her performance was bad or anything, because she played it to make you hate her.
Sure. Yes, absolutely. She played it to make you do exactly what most people seemed to do. And I didn't, though. I remember watching it and feeling more just like, well, this person's a hurt person. You know what I mean? This person has been through some shit and we don't really know. But
and it's almost like she's using this persona as a
coping mechanism. Yeah. Yeah. And we don't necessarily know why, but as the movie goes on, it does definitely, we're all people. The worst person, you can look underneath and find things that will shockingly, remind you that the monsters are human and the humans are monsters and everything in between.
Thank you, Scooby-Doo.
Yeah. Where are you? But no, I think that Dashcam was not as strong at all as the movie of Host, but I didn't think it was terrible.
I agree wholeheartedly, yeah.
But I didn't think it was terrible either. Sometimes you get things like Train to Peninsula, which is brilliant. I'm sorry, Train to Busan, which is brilliant. And then you get a Train to Busan Presents Peninsula, which is really bad. And so,
it was their Fast and the Furious in their franchise, I thought.
Yeah, sure. It was. Oh, yeah, it definitely was supposed to be this high-octane action film. Just didn't feel right to me. It was boring, too. I thought it was really boring.
Oh, yeah, I thought it was really boring, too.
But those are in-universe companion films. And, I know that Rob Savage's Host and Dashcam are not necessarily, but they are. They're both pandemic-era, found footage horror films about people dealing with or failing to successfully deal with supernatural elements that are, beyond their control. And so, I would give Dashcam, if you want a final rating, I can give one. I would give Dashcam a 3 out of 5. Solid stuff in parts, not great. Certainly nowhere near I thought the shot in the arm, forgive that expression, of breath of fresh air, whatever, of Host was for found footage.
Saying, yeah.
And it was a quick turnaround on these movies. And so I think
it was.
I think that it's more just like one of those things where it's like Host is required reading. If it were in a school, in a course, they would say Host is required Rob Savage reading. And what's this new one? Dashcam is further supplemental reading if you were so inclined.
Right. Yeah. And
what about you? What would you give it, you think?
I think I'd give this.
Like it. You didn't like it.
I did not love it. I did not like it. I'd probably give it a 1.5 out of 5. I just thought it was, for a Blumhouse film, he can put something out in theaters.
This is a mainline Blumhouse. This is not Blumhouse Television. This is a Blumhouse Pictures.
Yeah. And he can put anything out in theaters and they can at least make 5 to 7 million without him even trying.
Name alone.
And then, this kind of felt like you can tell why it went to select theaters and videos on demand on the same day. I felt like you can kind of tell why it did that.
And you're thinking that the movie just didn't work.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Okay, cool. Yeah. So then 1.5 it is. What was your least favorite part of it? Just out of curiosity. If you don't want, I don't want you to feel like
her rapping for sure was so cringe-worthy. I felt like that should have been in The Office. If that was in The Office, Or how about something a character would be like in The Office, just that cringeworthy.
And you know, it's true. And to look at your point, check this out too. Blumhouse Television's Torn Hearts, by far, the most cringe-worthy parts of that movie are those songs. So same kind of, my God, I had so much secondhand embarrassment from Torn Hearts that
that's what I had with Dashcam. That's what I had with Dashcam. But whenever he started drafting, I was like holding back embarrassment and tears.
Oh, right. I know it was terrible. And especially as a songwriter, so not being like, oh, I'm amazing, just being like, someone who has put themselves out there. I'm not trying to be a dick, but those songs were painful. It was bad. But yeah, totally 3 stars out of 5 for Dashcam. Yeah. I know. You're like, what the hell movie did you watch?
No, I mean, this is great because, there's over 1 billion movies out there and people can agree or disagree on something and we can have a conversation about it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But
I don't like it when people just come at you on social media and be like, explain to me why you like this.
I'm going to go with, no, I'm not going to. I'm just going to block.
That's what I do now.
Just move on, man. Whatever. I don't know you. He said, bye. Bye.
Like that one guy did with us with Army of the Dead.
Oh, my God. Bye. See you, dude. Guess we won't see it the sequel. Bye. See ya.